Roberta, welcome to WPFW.
Thank you, Rusty. Good to speak with you again.
Oh, likewise. So tell us about Billy Mintz. We know him as a drummer. Now, I didn't realize what an incredible composer he is, and why this album was a birthday present.
Billy is a wonderful composer and wonderful drummer, and he also happens to be my husband.
Aha.
And
okay.
This record was originally an idea I had as a birthday present to him to make a recording of several of his compositions as solo piano pieces. Some of them had never even been performed by bands that had piano in them. When I first did it, it wasn't even my intention to necessarily release it. It was just a surprise, and he was obviously very moved and touched. And eventually, I decided it was something that should be released. And so, obviously, Domestic Harmony is kind of a play on words.
Sure.
The title there.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about yourself, how you got started playing the piano, and where you grew up, and how you developed your skill as a pianist.
Well, that's a lifelong process. But I started out. I started playing piano very young. I come from a musical family. My father was a professional composer and a professor at NYU, and he gave me my first piano lessons. And unfortunately, he passed away when I was very young. And I sort of my interest in music kind of waned for a while. But then in my early teens, I got exposed to jazz, and I really fell in love with jazz and the sound of the piano trio. And that's when I started getting a bit more serious about music. And I grew up in Queens, in Bayside, Queens, in New York. In New York.
Who was the pianist that really initially turned you on to the music?
Well, it's funny because there's so many great famous pianists, but the first one I heard that actually got me kind of obsessed with jazz piano was the pianist Walter Bishop Jr.
Oh yes.
At the time, my brother was studying with him. He's a little older than me, and I heard one of his albums, and I just kind of flipped, and I ended up taking lessons with him a year or two later. Before going on to New England Conservatory. So that was like one of the first things I heard. It was an old Muse album of Walter Bishop Jr. with, I think it was Jimmy Garrison on bass and T.J. Hogan on drums, who I'm not, obviously we all know Jimmy Garrison, but I'm not really that familiar with T.J. Hogan, or J.T. Hogan? I think it was J.T. Hogan was the drummer, and I'm not really that familiar with his playing.
But yeah, more people should be familiar with Walter Bishop Jr. He was also an incredible poet and had a great sense of humor. I actually got to talk to him on occasion when he would come to D.C. And that's
nice.
Just remarkable. So I guess he got you started in a way. But who were some of the other folks that you came along in getting started?
Well, when I was younger, I would listen to everybody, and I went through, as every young pianist does, I went through a Bill Evans phase and a Thelonious Monk phase, and of course I've had a lifelong Herbie Hancock phase. All the greats. I was very fortunate in my 20s, in my early 20s. I started studying with the great pianist and composer Richie Byrack, whom unfortunately passed away recently. But he was a huge influence on me harmonically and compositionally. Really every way. He was a great composer and great mentor to me my whole adult life, really.
He just passed away just about a month ago. That was in January. Yeah. It's really sad. He was, and he wrote the liner notes for the solo album that we're going to hear something from later after we finish our conversation. So.
Yes, that's right. Emanation. Yeah, he wrote the liner notes for that record.
Who are some of the artists that you worked with accompanying along the way? Over the years, I've gotten to play with a lot of great musicians. I don't have a list in front of me right now, but I got to play a couple of times with Benny Golson many years ago. I kind of fell into it by luck. I played with Rufus Reid, right?
And of course with my husband Billy Mintz, with I play a lot with the great drummer Victor Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I play in his trio and his large ensemble. Probably missing some people that I can't think of right now.
Sure, no. You just came back from a tour. What was that like? How'd that go?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was great. I was in Europe for about 2.5 weeks. I was teaching for a week at Music Conservatory in Groningen, which is in the Netherlands, and I was also played several trio gigs in different jazz clubs in Spain with Billy Mintz and with great bass player Masa Kamaguchi on bass. And then I had a gig, a concert in Luxembourg in a town called Dudelange with a great, a little more open kind of a situation, trio of a quartet with the three great musicians, Robbie Glad on saxophones and Christian Ramon on bass and Klaus Kugel on drums, and that was a wonderful experience as well. So it was just a great time. And while we were in the Netherlands, we played a couple of gigs with bassist Joris Tepe as well.
Okay.
It was a lot of playing and teaching. It was very rewarding.
Wow. We're in the midst of a fundraising drive here at WPFW, and we've been listener-supported for like 49 years now. And again, this is one avenue for the music. Tell us why people should support WPFW and call 202-588-9739 while we're talking, or pledging online at WPFWFM.org.
Yeah, well, I think it's a community effort, and it gives us all a feeling of community to be a part of something that's so important. Here in where I live, here in New Jersey, I support our local public jazz radio station with a regular monthly membership, and because I really think it takes a village. We all have to do our part, and it makes me feel good to know that I'm supporting something so worthwhile and something that where my money is really going to make a difference. This isn't like a big corporation we're talking about where you're just like one little cog in the wheel. All of us really make a difference. I really feel that, especially these days, when we live in such challenging times, that it's so important to have that feeling of community. And one of the ways I do that, like we've started having some house concerts at our home, which has been really rewarding. And another way I do that is by contributing to my local jazz radio.
Right.
It's just super important for us all to have that feeling of community, and that we're contributing to something really worthwhile and meaningful and authentic in our lives.
Absolutely, particularly during these trying times. And you made a good point about becoming what's called a sustaining listener supporter by playing a nominal amount a month, like $20 a month, but the full amount comes out to be beneficial for the station, and will help me meet my goal. So again, call 202-588-9739 or pledge online as a friend from Washington D.C. did with a nice contribution just now as we were into the music. Again, it's WPFWFM.org. Well, we have something coming up this week. Roberta, tell us about it.
Yeah, so I'm getting really excited. I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. on Monday night doing a solo piano concert for piano jazz. You can get tickets at pianojazz.com, and it's going to be held at the Decatur House, but it is sponsored by Piano Jazz, and I'm really looking forward to that. I've had a few solo concerts this year. Well, the past several months, and I find them very rewarding, and I'm looking forward to playing the beautiful Steinway C that they have there. I'm playing some of the music from the CDs that you're hearing, as well as some other material.
Yeah, Burnett Thompson's been putting on the series for 12, 13 years now, and I've been honored to interview all of the artists who've come through and performed at these concerts that he's had. So again, details on how to make your way to the concert on Monday.
Yeah, pianojazz.com is the website, and I think there's a page there, a link to with my name, Roberta Piket, and you can order tickets there.
I think that's the best thing to do, is to order the tickets online. And again, I believe there's also a reception afterwards. So while we're on the subject of community and supporting local, local art scene, that's a great way to do it. Come and listen to the music, and then there'll be a meet and greet afterwards, so you can come and tell me that you heard me and that you support this great radio station, and that you support jazz.
You've on this album, Solo Volume 2, Emanation, have a mix of standards and some original compositions. How do you approach your own composing when you are putting something down to perform yourself?
Well, it really varies. Sometimes inspiration strikes, and sometimes it's just more about discipline. I wrote some music about a year and a half ago, where I just decided I was going to write a new composition every day for 10 days. And I just kind of forced myself, and without judging it or worrying about whether it was going to be good or not. And they all came out pretty good, and I went back, of course, and did some editing after the initial composition. But and there's one piece that I wrote for Bill Evans that I'm going to play on the concert on Monday, and so sometimes it's just about like doing something very consistently, so that you sort of develop the chops, you develop the craft, and you can kind of call it up when you want to, So other times it's more about inspiration. You're just feeling a certain way or mood, or you've got some melody stuck in your head. So there's really no one way, I would say that one of the interesting things that Richie Byarak told me that I never forgot was that he used to say, your compositions should sound improvised, and your improvisations should sound composed.
Mm-hmm. And I interviewed Gary Bartza recently at the Mid-Atlantic Jazz Festival, and he said this is composing. He doesn't like the word improvisation, and that's how he teaches his lessons.
It's true. I mean, we are composing when we improvise.
Right,
it's just a matter of, composing is really just slowing down the process of improvising and then editing it. In fact, one of the things Byarak used to have me do would be to write out a solo. Not I don't mean transcribing a solo. I mean writing out a solo of my own.
Okay.
Something that I would play, and that was very beneficial to kind of slow down the process. So improvising is really just sped up composition, and the important thing is, I think, when you're improvising, to create something that is compositional in the sense that it has a logical development, and it's coherent and cohesive. It makes sense from a musical point of view, from a compositional point of view. That, to me, that's like a great goal as an improviser, to try to develop a solo in that way, rather than just stringing together a bunch of licks.
Fantastic. Well, I have Saying Goodbye queued up now to conclude our conversation. And again, I want to remind folks to call 202-588-9739 or make a contribution online. I have $240 to go between now and midnight. Eminently doable. And I want to thank you, Roberta Piket, for your words of wisdom about why they should support this station. And we're looking forward to the performance on Monday.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rusty. I know you're going to get your 240. In fact, I think you're going to go over.
I hope so. Thanks a lot.
And I hope to see some of your listeners at the concert at Decatur House, pianojazz.com on Monday. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak to you tonight.
Oh, it's been a real pleasure.